Hello and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while. Had a lot going on towards the end of the year and beginning of this year, but I have seen that several of the games have done some major updates, starting with Foundations. We're going to start a new game and check out all of the fantastic new updates that they have added. And for those who have never played this game before, it's one of my favorite medieval city builder games. You have so much customization that you can do within this game. And so let's just dive in from the beginning by building our map. And I normally play on coastal, but let's see. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick to coastal. A little less ocean. We could have a beach. A little lake in there. Yeah, let's go with that one. We're gonna keep it to the classic. And we're going to stay on our own, which is going to actually allow us to kind of do all of these at our leisure versus having to follow one or the other. So let's build our heraldry here, which I'm gonna go here. I'm a sucker for the lighter colors. I like the 3. Let's see, what do we want to make this? I actually really like that. Let's see what a randomizer can give us that we might like. We'll go with that one. There, I quite like that. Let's start the game and see where we go from here. So as we start up, it is going to give us some starter areas on the map that we can choose from. All of the starter areas do have all of the resources that you're going to need. So let's go here, a new beginning. After a long journey throughout the realm, your people finally reach new lands, your lands, territories you can settle for reasons of your own. Your villagers await your command and are eager to offer advice about how to proceed, should you require it. And we're going to go through the kind of general camera movements here. So, forward, back. Allow me to use my mouse here. Guess not. Forward with W. Left with A. Right with D. Down. S. End of the generic, general movements here, and then we can scroll in and out with our wheel. We can pan to the right and left with our mouse wheel as well. And now we get to choose our territories. So let's kind of think about this here and look at our map as a whole. So, oh, that's beautiful. The beach, the cliff, so maybe we can build our monastery up on the cliff overlooking the ocean. I sort of like that idea. A nice little bay in here. So these big cliffs are going to have a lot of our metal resources, and of course they're rather far off from each other. Got a lake over here. Perhaps we'll start in this territory. So we'll have 2 areas of stone here. We'll be close to getting this one for our monastery, and we can build out that way. So we'll start here. Alright, most actions like placing new buildings and expanding your territory can be performed by the action module at the bottom center of the screen. And first thing we're going to want to do is build a village center, and I think I'm going to place our village center here. And the nice part about this is while you do have a lot of customization, your people also have some free will as to where they build and where they walk. So your roads are not going to be put down by you, but we are going to paint some areas for them to build in, and we get to kind of place specific areas. So let's see here, our second piece of advice comes from a young, enterprising villager. Rather than letting everyone fend for themselves, she suggests that you organize laborers into appropriate workplaces. Builders into workshops, woodcutters into lumber camps, berry gatherers into their huts, and so on. First thing is a builder's workshop. Most buildings can be moved after the fact. I'm going to go ahead and put our builder over here now. And I'm just going to assign our workers. So click the plus button in the building panel to automatically assign the nearest villager to a workplace. As we progress, and because I've played this a few times, as our village gets bigger, we can manually reorganize our people so that we can actually get those that are closest. Right now, since we really don't have very many, this will work beautifully. I am going to, for now, place this over here. I like to try not to destroy as many resources as possible when I'm placing a building down. And this is one of the buildings that can be moved. So for now, I do want to clear this wood here in the center, and we're going to end up clearing up this way. I think what we'll do is we'll make a sustainable area over here where we regrow the trees as we move along. Now our builders are going to come over and build this. And now I am going to play my games a little different than I have been in the past, where I'm really going to take my time. I play games as sort of therapy for myself, and so I want to enjoy the game and take my time and see what we can do and not try and rush things. So if it seems a little bit slower paced than maybe what you're used to, that would be why. This is really my kind of therapy, my enjoyment. And so if you're looking for tips and tricks and quick ways to play a game, this isn't going to be the quick way. It's definitely going to be the take it slow way. Alright, so now it looks like we've painted our woodcutting area where I want them to start focusing. Now we are going to have a gatherer's hut. We can produce berries, and it looks like we've got 4 berries here. 3 sort of in concentration here, though that one looks like it's right on the edge of our territory. And we've got a decent concentration over here. So I actually think I'm going to put my berry hut this side. See if I can tuck it in here. Yes. So we're going to put it right in there. Okay, so I've assigned one person here. Since we don't have too many villagers right now, I don't want to fully assign it. And you can already see our paths are starting to show up. And these will change as the game progresses. As your people move around different buildings that you've placed, or you shift your center of population. We're just going to watch how beautiful these graphics are. As the trees get cut back, notice what just happened. We lost some of this vegetation that was over here. So you will see your landscape evolve as well. And if you play games like Manor Lord, which is another game you're going to find on my channel when they're chopping down the trees, at least up to this point, they have had a major update as well, which we will get into. You still have all of this little vegetation that you have to get rid of yourself. So let's just watch this get built and be back. looks like we've got our berry hut all set. So let's go ahead and add a forager so we can start producing berry. Alright, our next one. Now that you've organized your laborers, you can tend to their needs and happiness. Make sure they have access to fresh water and housing. As for food, you will first need people to store and distribute the berries they collected. From there, your villagers will have everything needed to welcome its first wave of immigrants. So now we get to paint the housing area. And this is where they really have freedom to build houses wherever they want within that painted area that we put in. And you really start to see things grow. So let's get started. Alright, needs. Every member of your village is looking to satisfy essential and additional needs. Villagers fulfill their needs by consuming resources such as berries for the rustic food need or visiting buildings such as churches for the service need. Check for details by hovering over each need in the villager window. I know, as I've been watching some YouTube videos on other games that are coming out, there are some other games I'm interested in playing on here that have a different take on the neighborhood system here. But we're going to watch these houses get built, and I'm going to go take care of my little one here, and I will check back in as these are built. Let's just real quick, we're going to set up a well central to all our houses to be built, and stone cutters. Now notice this has a red line around it, or a red zone. That's because it's not going to be friendly to our people. They're not going to like hearing that. So we're going to tuck it over here by the wood cutters. And let that be that. All right, let's see this get built. looks like our stone cutter is in need of someone to cut stone. And notice here, it tells us where the resource is for the building when we're in there. So if I zoom out here, we have stone right here. So I did try and put it close by, and looks like that is the only stone in our little corridor here. As you progress in the game and we discover what the resources are within this big mass here, you may find stone deposits as well, so you don't have to rely on the small ones throughout your village. You can get rid of these and switch to a massive stone producing situation there. Now, while these are being built, I'm just going to go over a couple of the top items here. So under the coins section, it does tell you how much income you currently have. As we have nothing coming in, we just have the base. We started with 500, we're at 410 now, and our coin tendency is 0. We can opt to have our monthly balance, a summary, show up for us, or we can turn that off. I generally keep it on. With our resources, this is going to expand the more resources we discover, the more resources that we're producing. And I'll show you throughout the game. You can choose what shows up in this bar once you have enough resources. And you'll have a little plus icon that shows up so you can view all of them. As far as villagers, it tells us what our population is. We have 10 serfs right now. What their happiness is and what needs are being met or not being met, and then how much unemployment we have. So right now we've got 5 unemployment. We may rectify that shortly. Our prosperity here, so this measures your village's success impacted by multiple factors listed on the progression screen. High prosperity will help unlock new content in the common path and for each state. Right now, our only factor is our population. And we have a village map, and as we again progress, you're going to see a couple more options show up here. Now let's go ahead and give some more people some work to do. So I'm going to add another builder. Seeing as our wood is full, I'm not going to add another one there. I will throw in another miner and 2 more to forger's hut. Food is going to be something super important as we go through, so we do want to make sure that we have that. And as we have so many buildings that do need to be built, I'll throw another one on the builders. Let's go ahead and turn and look at this from another angle. So you can see the plots sort of show up as to where it's going to be built while they are awaiting their materials, which the builders are the ones that bring those materials. Not too much to do in the very beginning while we're waiting for all of this to go. So again, I will check back in with you as they continue to build, show you a little bit more of the area, and we'll start to see their paths coming in for the housing as well. Alright, looks like our well is made, and we're on to our next objective, multi-part buildings, which is one of my favorite parts about this game, is there are several buildings that have multiple parts, different decorations and things that you can add, and we're going to start with creating a market. I like to start my game with my market stalls right here in the very center. And I think we're going to put them on this side over here. Since we only have one resource, one food resource, we're only going to build one at the moment. And I think we're going to place it here. Have it face off to the side. And we're going to add a tent over the top. Now, notice here we can actually have two, but this particular tent doesn't do well with that. But moving forward, you can have two stalls with one tent over both of them, which does look rather nice as you're going through. And then you can get back to edit the building if you want to. Doesn't look like it's showing us any different style of tent at the moment. That's all we've got. So let's just let them build it. And I love the little detail here. The people are working on their house, cleaning up, resting. This house has a huge yard. They've even got some laundry sitting out, a little lean-to, some barrels. And even the roof styles are slightly different. Such cozy, beautiful graphics here. I just really like this style that the developers have put into this. And it does appear that all of our houses have been built. Alright, so here's where we needed to be careful. Right now, we have no available villager to be in the marketplace. So now we're going to have to take a villager from somewhere else. And because we don't have very much building that needs to be done, I'm going to take them from the builder and put them on the market. And now we can assign berries to this marketplace. And we're now a village. So our ruler title has changed to Lady. And this is going to be editing the building. So you can move and rotate any building parts. Some building parts can be scaled up and down. Multi-part buildings can be improved further with new parts, and monuments can be improved with additional parts and sub-buildings, which we're definitely going to get into as the game progresses. And so at this point, our only assignment is to raise our happiness to 75. And once they're all able to get food, we should see that going up. Don't think we're missing any housing. Right, looks like we've got our next prompt. To start trade, a business-minded villager proposes creating a trade route with your closest neighbor, Northbury, to sell resources for profit and obtain items that cannot be produced locally. Northbury needs planks, so you should start with those. Alright, so now notice we have a new item up here, unlocking buildings. Some buildings are not available at the start of the game. You will need to unlock them from the progression screen. Unlocking them requires you to reach their tier, which might require a certain number of prosperity and estate splendor. Once there, you must pay a certain amount of coins or influence to unlock them for your village. Now we don't have to unlock the sawmill, that has already been unlocked, and since we have this nice open space here, we're gonna go ahead and tuck our little sawmill back there. But let's take a look at this progression menu. Right now, the only thing available is the common path, but we do want to go ahead and unlock storage. This is going to be important to increasing our food supply, increasing the resources, or having a place to store the resources for the trade routes that it wants us to open. It looks like we also have a couple of more villagers, so I'm going to let them join our village here. And I am going to add a granary in. Now, granaries have no impact on our village, but again, I simply don't like to place things in the way of resources, where it gets rid of anything important. But the closer our granary is to where our market is, the easier it's going to be for them to get the resources into the market. So I'm going to add our granary there. And then as far as resource storage, because we do need that sawmill, I'm going to place a warehouse in this clearing here. And we're going to sort of make this area our industry area, if it were, for the time being. And now we have 2 people without jobs, but we've just placed 3 buildings. So we may be taking from one of our other locations, and it looks like I don't see that they're building a home yet. So we might look at our paint here and expand the housing on this side. And we're going to move our builders. Move our builders over here. And the builders is I think the only building actually that you don't actually have to wait for it to be built. It just moves automatically to where you place it, which is really nice. Alright, let's go ahead and get our sawmill going. So now we're going to start using those resources for other things. So not only are we going to need the wood for building, but the sawmill is also going to take it. And at this time, there isn't really a maximum. We can't set a maximum. So that's one of the things with Manor Lords, where the developers have allowed you to set a maximum, that once that building reaches that maximum, they stop working. This one sort of has it already built in. The building itself can only hold 50 However, if you have a storage yard where you're also putting that, then your maximum becomes whatever the building can hold plus those storage areas. So you're going to want to keep an eye on that as you grow your little town. Also, we'll keep an eye on this because I really like this feature. Right now you can see where the old builder's hut was. The blueprint is there, but as time goes on, much like as the roads show up from people using them, that will disappear and go back to grass because the building's no longer there. All right, our warehouse is finally built. We are going to put planks in there. Now we have access to the royal book. And we're going to go through each tab of this royal book. There is a ton of information contained within, including our trade routes, which is what it's asking us to go and look at now. So up here, we have our map, our progression, and now the royal book. So we get a little bit of information about our village here. We get to see our flag, or insignia. We see that we're a village. We can see what it is that we chose. Next, we have our edicts and privileges. The trade route, so it is asking us to unlock this one. Once we have 20 planks, we'll be able to do so, but there are also these other abbeys and towns, cities, places, neighbors that we can trade with, what they'll buy from us, what they'll sell to us, and so we'll get into that as we continue. We have a list of our resources, and this is where I said if you want to actually track something and have it show up in your resources, you favorite it to your resources. So if you remove the star, takes it away, clicking star will add it there. So really you only need the ones that you are concerned with once you have multiple resources. You can see your villagers here, and if you click the drop down, you can see what their skills are. You can click to view their workplace, view their house, or simply follow the villager. Then you have your buildings, and this is where I mentioned you can sort of customize who goes where, and it'll tell you how far away they are from that area. As we build up, we can change this so that people are closer together to their workplaces. You get your budget and a log of everything that happens, so if you miss seeing something, you can check the log and see if it's in there. We do have one more person that we can place somewhere. We also have high froze there for a second. We've got a high immigration rate right now, which means we are going to have more people come and join our town here. And let me see. Oh, okay, so they've cleared all the wood from the area that we designated. I'm going to cut right across here as well and create a little path to clear those trees. And if we right click, we can remove their zone here. So I'm going to remove the zoning from here, because they've already done this. If we remove that, actually gonna let's keep those trees there as well. I kind of like them. We'll have them tackle this area, and then we can have more housing in there as well. And yeah, we'll stick with that. And we can add another transporter, another carpenter, and another woodcutter. Now we're getting that notification that our housing is insufficient. So I know we're going to have more housing this way. And so I'm going to take this portion of our beautiful little site here and allow not there. Oh. Hello. Okay. You can also change your paint to be a square if you want to keep things very squared off. I rather like the round brush. Little neighborhood over here. Industry right up the middle, and we're also going to have industry on this side around this as we are able to purchase more land. And then I think what I'm gonna do is have farming out this way, or I may put farming smack dab in the middle over here. Maybe branching out over there. We'll see as we progress sort of where we decide to have our farming areas. And they made quick work of that. This house is already built. Now if we look at the housing pane, we can see housing quality and housing density. So we can get better quality housing before we increase how many people can be in the housing, or we can focus on increasing how many people can be in the house and then focus on the housing quality, which may be the route that I go this time around. That way we don't have to build quite so many neighborhoods. We can have these smaller neighborhoods that can house more people close to where the work is, versus having them so spread out, which is what I inevitably ended up doing in some of the other game playthroughs that I have done. Now, keep in mind with the fortification, heavy fortification, some of that comes from the progression. So, as you can see right now, again, we only have the common path, which, why don't we go ahead and unlock some of this. What we unlock here will affect what becomes available as we go further down. But fishing is not a bad thing to have available as we're going through. You can rename the houses as well. You can also rename the villagers. So if anyone wants to put in the comments some names for our houses or our villagers, I would love to go through and we can rename some people here. This is showing we have our fisher's hut. So also in this menu, you can filter it by your logistical items, your resource production, your food production, and again, as we progress and we unlock more will show up as options to click on. In the beginning, I just like to see everything right up front. So right now we're just waiting for our planks to be up high enough. Take a look at that royal book and our trade routes, and it is. We're going to unlock that trade route with Northbury and allow the sale of planks from our resource page. So that's going to be resources. And so now we have purchases and sales. So we're going to find planks and we're going to sell. And we're going to sell everything above, let's keep 10 for now. You can use your number pad to type in the numbers. You don't have to use the arrows to go up and down. And so that's what I've opted to do. Much easier, quicker to do it that way. And we've got our next objective, which is our manor house. So the monument construction in this game is one of my favorite things that you can do. And so the manor house is that first monument. We can also now purchase another territory. And so let's think about where we want our manor house to be. Now I know that I want to build my monastery up here on the ridge. There's going to be these two parcels when we're getting ready to do that. So I think I'm going to take this one. Because we're going to do, we can then expand our housing out this way. So we don't need this right now. And now we've reached Common Path Tier 2. It's your first monument. Monuments represent the greatness of your village. They are an assemblage of multiple buildings called sub-buildings, each with its own function. First step to making a monument is to choose an initial sub-building you wish to add, then design it as you would for a multi-part building. Don't worry about deciding which sub-building to build first, as you can add as many sub-buildings as you wish and then edit them afterwards. And so now, laborer, kingdom, and clergy are all here, and we need to unlock the manor house. And let's think where we're going to place said manor house. We have new building parts, so those are marketplace parts. Our new building, which is so we have the manor house here, which is going to be an administrative and as well as monument building. Let's allow 2 more buildings here. So far, I think it was going to be there. Let's put our manor house over here. First thing is we need the Great Hall. Now, as we progress, you actually do unlock more buildings, but we're just going to build a small manor house to start with. We can always edit all of this another time. So, for right now, we need our Great Hall. Our Great Hall needs a doorway. And we need a visitor location. And we can add a sub-building for a tax office or just a free building that has no function at the moment. This is all we're being asked for, but I do want to raise that up. Because of where the window placements are and the design of the building, we're going to have it there built. Now, since we're building over here, I am going to add another builder, and I'm going to move our builder's workshop over closer to the manor house. We have another house being built over here. Now if we click, we can see we need 44 planks, 18 pieces of wood, and 6 things of tools. We definitely have enough stone and enough tools, but it's going to take some time for those planks. And we do have a full revenue of carpenters and a full revenue of woodcutters here. We don't have full revenue of our miners, so since we had another villager, go ahead and add that in. Actually, we may do. I know I initially said I was going to make this the renewable tree area, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to add our forester in over here. And we'll make this the renewable area. And sort of keep some separation there. Again, this can always be moved as we progress in the game, and we can actually entirely reforest an area. So if we wanted to add trees here, you would add forester, paint that area, and you would be able to have your trees in a new location. We're gonna focus over here on the manor house. So another thing that we can do, we can go back into edit building and notice that there are these extra little pieces here. And so we can add a weather vane to the top. We can add this little rustic shed. And notice, I don't actually have to build those right away. If I close out of this, they just show as ghosts, basically. I like to call it ghost mode for my buildings. So I know what I'm planning, but I don't use my resources when I don't have them or don't need to at the moment. A little funny having that floating up there, but once they build the building, it'll make sense that it's up there. Let's watch them build our manor house. Looking down here at our advice to build the manor house, we do have an optional task here to assign tools to a warehouse and allow tool purchase from the resources page. So I am inclined to go ahead and do that optional task. Oh, and we have a little question mark here. So, per building zone. So there are some buildings that have their own zoning. So it's not going to be down here in the zoning. You actually have to go into the building, and Forester is one of those. So if we paint a reforestation area, I am actually going to paint this area for reforestation. And then in here, we can assign tools. And then if we go to our Royal Book, tools, we can buy tools. Set 30 as the limit because that's where we're at right now. So we are going to need tools to build as we continue through. No, not help. If we look at our zoning here, we can turn on the zoning areas. And so once they finish this, we'll increase our housing to here. And then we can go this way, leaving a nice open area for our manor house to expand, and all the lovely details and things that we can build into that manor house area. I do like to try and keep little patches of forest. So I'm going to try and keep this little area. And we have now the ability to have churches, which is another beautiful thing that we can build. I absolutely love building the church. Every villager will contribute to their community. I will continue on my own. The villagers were concerned they might not have enough coins to develop a prosperous village. After much deliberation, they decided to build a tax office and contribute by sharing some of their earnings through a house tax. Every villager will contribute. So, one of those sub-buildings that we can build off of our manor house is a tax collection house. So improving the monuments. Like normal buildings, monuments can be improved by adding new sub-buildings and editing existing ones. From the buttons next to the sub-buildings list, you can change the function of a sub-building or destroy any sub-building you want. Whenever you destroy building parts, you are refunded half of their construction cost. And we now have the ability to take a snapshot, and I think we can purchase more territory if we so choose. Now, we do have church that we can build, but notice that we are negative 1 coin for our upkeep, so we do need to edit this building, add our sub-building of the tax office. And I like to put my tax offices in fortification. I just think it looks nice and allows for some secure zoning. Oh, we can change our material, so we can change the color of the housing. We can replace it. I don't know if I like that one. Let's see. I think I like the smaller one here. I think that just looks nicer, especially with our current state And if it's connected to a building that already has a door, you don't have to add a door to it directly. They'll just go through that building. So noticing here it's green and green, I could make it its own standalone building, and then I would have to add a door. And smushing it in like that doesn't take away from the amount of space that it offers, as far as I can see here. So if we look here, it's telling us the size, the capacity of tax collectors, and our building resources, as well as the maintenance. I think I'm going to keep it like that for now. I rather like that. Let's see here. The kingdom acknowledges your hard work in establishing your settlement. I am but a humble servant to the kingdom. Now we're going to start having couriers show up. And we have another little book here. Improving lumber camps. Your woodcutters can't keep up with the demand. Exhausted, they plea for more villagers to help. They also suggest recruiting a forester, as it would ensure ample forests in the future. We need more wood, so notice that I had the option to say I'll continue on my own. Really, that just takes away these. But I don't have to do these right away. I can do them when I want to, as I'm going along. You can abandon it if you would like. However, some of those actually give you some benefits, and especially as you're starting out, if you're a beginner to this, I would encourage you to do those. They're quite helpful, especially with the optional things, to be able to see what that's like. And we do have more villagers, so I can now add my forester. And our lumber camps. Let's see, we do have a mandates. So now mandates is, well, we can levy our villagers to get more money. We can promote villagers, which is going to allow them to be more efficient in their jobs, if that job so requires a higher villager level. If we go to progression, now we've unlocked this second tier here. So we can have farming, we can do clothing, goods market, improvements. We can have a stonemason hut, improve our labor camp, which is what they were asking us to do. We can even improve our storage, expand our village edicts, add butchering, which will allow us to hunt, and tooling, which is going to give us the ability to make our own tools. However, we haven't searched for iron, nor do we have coal yet, so I'm not so concerned with this one. But we do want to increase our lumber camp capacity. And so now if we come in here, we have all these different pieces that we can add to our lumber camp. These ones are simply decoration, which does increase our decorative labor splendor, which is needed to increase and achieve or unlock more of that labor tier. Nothing we really need to worry about right now. This can store more, and these ones allow us to add more workers. I generally like to start with these ones down here that allow us to add 2 more workers. Keeping in mind it has red around it, which means it does impact the beauty of that area. And so you want to be careful where you place these. And so I'm going to place it over here. Pardon me. We do still have cloth, so that works well. Once that's built, we can add more woodcutters. And you can see here our forester is hard at work planting our new little trees. So those will grow over time. Looks like we have a nice little circle. We planted one in the middle here.
Alright, our first tax office has now been built, so a tax office now stands in the village promising order and prosperity. Though some villagers might grumble, they know their coins are paving the way to a brighter, safer future for all. Taxation is a type of income available for the labor estate. You can dispatch tax collectors from the tax office to collect coins from your villagers. The weight of each residential tax can be set on the taxes page of the royal book. Increasing taxes will let you earn more coins at the cost of villagers' happiness. Higher status villagers mean higher revenue, while higher density housing means more coins accumulating in one place. So if we come here now to our royal book, we have our taxation, and we can move that up one tier. So it does give us a negative 5% in happiness, but as long as we keep it in the green, it doesn't really impact the happiness up here too much. And all we want is a monthly profit from taxes of 10 to complete this. And we now have our additional lumber camp here being built. We're still waiting for planks and tools. As soon as that's built, we can add another woodcutter and complete this. I think once we do that, that's going to be it for this video. We'll see where we go in the next one. If you've stuck with me this long, thank you so much. Please let me know in the comments down below what you think so far of our small village. Again, we're not going too fast, but I am going to share my tips and tricks. I have been playing this game for a little while. If you want to see my previous videos, I will have those linked in the end of this one, so you can look back at that and get an idea of where we have gone before to see where we're going next.
All right, we've added our woodcutter. I think we're gonna end it here. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and let me know in the comments what you thought, if you have any ideas. And again, we can rename our villagers as well as name the houses and the buildings. So if you have any ideas for those, you can leave that in the comments as well. I hope you guys have a great rest of your